think a lot of us understand narcissism because it's well spoken about nowadays. And when it comes to narcissistic parents, this is my own thought process, but I've always assumed that the narcissist in my life, his own neglect, his parents neglecting him as a child, that just came from laziness, nothing more. They were so used to just working all the time and resting on the weekends and spending time with their friends at church. And it was just a routine, it was repetitive. And honestly, I don't know if that was the case or not. I'm just looking at the present now, and at the core of narcissism, I know lies a deep incompetence and shame that these people hold. They feel inadequate. They feel that they are not enough, not measuring up to what they would really like to and their potential. And instead of facing that, they completely avoid anything that might expose the secret that they hold. Instead of bettering themselves and realizing that they have the potential within themselves to be better and choose better, they don't. And that includes parenting. My dad, I'm not going to talk about my dad. Never mind. I don't like comparisons. I don't. And I won't compare my dad to the parenting style of my soon-to-be ex because they're not one and the same. I had a great childhood. Let's just put it that way. I had a great childhood. My dad was present. That's all that needs to be spoken at this time. But as far as my ex, he was never truly invested in being a parent and a present father for his children. You know, it was rare that he took us anywhere. It was rare that he spent time with the boys one-on-one. I don't think that's ever happened, to be honest. Well, he might have encouraged their interests, tried to talk to them. He really never supported their growth. Supporting these kids, it requires a lot of effort and consistency. And I think the way the narc was raised, he makes an excuse and says it's because of lack of resources, never enough money, never enough, in his mind, to be able to spend on his children, to have an extracurricular activity. You know, it was just too much money. And so they lack capacity. He doesn't even try. He left the real work to me and to handle it. And often he would blame me and say, well, why doesn't Rome still play baseball? Why did you take him out of it? You know, he's still expecting me to control everything. Well, he would also want the deserving credit and admiration when he could tell people, oh, my kid plays baseball, or my kid is into wrestling. I really feel like that is the dynamic in a narcissistic relationship. One parent will always carry the weight, while the other parent is just dictating and being a burden. The one good parent that is carrying all the weight and emotional labor and taking the kids to their school meetings and, you know, their schedule, dealing with the doctor appointments and everything else. We're the exhausted parent. And the narc, he's just absent. He's disengaged. He's involved only when it benefits him and his image. He never really cared if his kids tried new things. He doesn't care if his kids know how to cook. He doesn't know if, how his kids are doing in school. And that's just fundamental things that a parent should want to know about their kids. How are these kids going to ever succeed? They're definitely paying the price of his choices and And not to make excuses, the last couple years has been really difficult on me health-wise. And I've had to carry a major load. And realizing now how much my kids are missing out on, it does hurt. And I do want to try to get these kids involved into what they want to do. And my eldest son the other day, as a matter of fact, he was asking me if I've ever been golfing. And I said, no, I would love to. My dad and my brothers would always go golfing, but they never invited us girls to go golfing. And I said that would be really neat if you and my dad could go golfing when they're down here in a couple of months. And so I'm thinking maybe I could plan something where he and my dad can go golfing. Another activity he asked about was if I've ever been skiing or snowboarding, and I said, of course. I used to have a season pass. My brothers worked as ski instructors. Like, I loved to ski, and I would love to take him. And then we had a more in-depth conversation. It was really nice to have about ice skating and rollerblading and all that. These kids have missed out on a whole lot with me, and me being down ever since we moved to Florida. You know, it was one thing after another with my health, my brain injury, and then me having to work out of that mess, and then work full-time, and then getting hit with the hurricane and sick with COVID and all these health issues. I don't want to make my health the highlight or the reason why these kids didn't have the opportunity that they could have had. Just time passes so fast. And the reason why I bring this up, these children need to learn that their needs are important, that their joy is priority. And all I see right now is these kids in pain. Maybe they're not. They hide it very well. But in my mind, they're going through a painful time. My kids are always playing their video games. The only time I really get to see them is by taking them out for a Starbucks or taking them out to lunch. And to me, that's not good enough. I want to do so much more for my kids. Today I was reading an article that was discussing the Beckhams, and I don't follow entertainment news. I used to, but lately I don't. And they're discussing how their son, Brooklyn, he was estranged from his parents, and his accusation was that his parents were trying to interfere with his marriage and his relationship with his wife, even before they got married. And it doesn't matter if you follow celebrity news or not. The point is the dynamic is painfully familiar. These narcissistic families, they don't respect boundaries. They see their child's partner not as a good thing, as being part of the family, but they see them as a threat. Especially somebody who's strong and vibrant, and they bring a sense of normalcy to their chaotic life. They see them as a threat because they see somebody who takes away their control. And instead of supporting their child's adult relationship, they undermine it. They triangulate. And I've often talked about that, how my own ex triangulated me with his family on purpose. And I didn't know the concept. I didn't understand what that meant. These people rewrite narratives. And if the child doesn't stand up to that family or whoever's, controlling that and draw a hard line, the narcissistic family will successfully sabotage that relationship. And then they blame the partner for the fallout. They blame me as the victim. And that's exactly 100% what happened. We didn't stand a chance. I did not have a partner who stood up to his parents or his sister. I did not have a partner who protected me or what we had. You should have seen his mother on our wedding day. Oh my gosh. She was upset with me. I have no idea. No idea why. You could see it in the photos. She even left halfway through the wedding. It was embarrassing. She had to go change her dress. I don't know why she didn't bring another change of clothes, but she had to go all the way home in the middle of our reception and came back and expected everybody to comment on her. Meanwhile, my parents were left wondering his parents. We're supposed to all be sitting together at the front table. Well, that didn't happen. Just talk about two different breeds. We came from completely different families, and not to knock them down. I'm done. I'm done. They knew what they were doing. They all knew. And they wanted to turn me into the villain. I am the enemy. That's great. I am the problem. These narcissistic families, they don't just destroy the relationship, they recruit. Was it fun for you? It's like they test the narc and say, you need to be loyal to us, choose us, or you lose everything. And too often the child does choose the familiar dysfunction, just like my ex did. He chose that familiarity over the healthy partnership I wanted so badly. And he'll never say it that way. None of them will ever say it that way. They'll say what I'm talking about is ridiculous, non-existent. Deep down, they know it's true, though. And here's the part they don't want to hear. Their parents started this with them. They didn't actually want their children to outgrow them. They didn't want their children to build lives that didn't revolve around them. Because when their mom was still alive, it was always around her needs. It really was. Why do you think we left to Florida? She was a thorn in my side. She wanted complete control. It was insanity. I'll never forget the time that I was working my ass off right after I had Rome, my second baby. I was exhausted. And we had to go to a birthday party. It had to be a Friday because I was working, obviously. And so it was at Rocio's house. And I was still in my work clothes, and I showed up, and I was confused. I was like, hello? Like, nobody was, like, happy to see me whatsoever. Not even my ex, who was my husband at the time. He was like, you need to go to the store and go get some Coke and some chips. And I was like, why? I was confused. I was like, why? Well, lo and behold, should I have known by now that you always have to show up to a Mexican party with something. I just fucking got off of work. I haven't even picked up my babies yet. And my mother-in-law looked at me with such disdain that I didn't bring anything. And her son, which was my husband, was looking at me with such cruelty in his eyes. I was like, what the fuck, am I supposed to read minds now? So what did I do? Instead of walking away and going home, picking up my babies and causing a scene, I went to the fucking store like a fucking slave. Got some Coke, got some chips, came back there, and it was still the same flat feeling that I felt, unwelcoming. My mother-in-law opened the bag of chips and started picking out on it and just not happy. No thank you. No smile, no nothing. It was sick. Yeah, that family was something else, very dysfunctional. And that long-term damage might be devastating to you when you hear me telling the truth, because you know very well how your mother was. You know very well how your brother, the narc I was married to, was. You know that he always talks shit about his children. You know he talks shit about me. It's the goddamn truth. Don't deny it. Look at your own children. Do they feel unseen? I seen you being a bitch to your daughter, Rocio. You're very demeaning. You're emotionally unavailable, just like your brother is. Your kids are confused. All the shit between you and Luis that happened, all the secrets that I've known, and you've told me. No wonder your kids are confused, and that's all they want to do is eat. This chaos, this weird, fucked up dysfunction started with your family. And cutting you off is going to be the best thing that's ever happened to me and my kids. What you guys did was harmful, but in the end, I'm so grateful at the same time because it made me realize that this narc, your brother that I was married to, he failed. I was dealing with you guys that were never capable of showing up and improving yourselves. I hope you guys heal. I hope you guys do seek professional help and start understanding the true reality of what you did to try to sabotage this relationship. It was doomed anyways because the narc, he has his own mental issues, but on top of that, you all were his little puppet masters, and it's fine. I see things for what it is, and it's good. It's good that my kids are almost grown and I get to start my life now. I'm super excited about that. So thank you for being so dysfunctional and encouraging him to misbehave badly. Peace out.